Hey guys, this is Ewan here from the2traders.com. So you should already have an idea of how to enter a trade and what strategies you can use. So we've talked through the MA Cross, Dotion breakouts and Bollinger breakouts. We've also showed you how to go through the chart pattern. So that'll be the head and shoulders, the double tops and bottoms, and trend channel breakouts. So you'll have a good understanding of how to enter a trade. Now we haven't gone through yet is exit strategy, so we're going to talk through those now. And this is arguably one of the most important parts of trading is how you exit that trade. And it's a parameter a lot of people tend to overlook. So entering a trade is actually relatively easy, and the difficulty lies in holding a winning position kind of long enough to maximize those profits and making sure you cut losses fast enough so that your risk to reward is always going to be the right way around. So there's a lot of ways to exit a trade, but the ones we're going to focus on are stop losses, trend reversals, time-based exits, and take profits. So the first one's stop loss, and you're going to hear us say this 100 times. You should not be trading without stop loss. You might not associate it as an exit strategy, but to us it's by far the most important because it is what defines your risk to reward. If you're going into a trade without a stop loss, you don't know when you're going to exit. The market's going to turn around against you, and you're going to have no idea when to close that position. And the deeper it goes against you, the harder it gets, and it's a very vicious cycle. So have a look at our individual guide on stop losses. Make sure you understand how to use stop losses, and make sure you put one in the second you enter that trade or open a trade with a stop loss, and don't move it once it's in it. And if you're trading a trend following system, this is probably going to be the way you close out most of your positions, because the tendency is that win percents are slightly below 50% with trend following strategies, and that the profit lies in allowing those winners to run longer than the losers, and we're going to talk about those now. So the first one we're going to go through is the trend reversal. So we're just going to go to a chart and talk through these. You can look through the guides on your own time. And this is AUDUSD in 2014, 2015, and it's the same example we use in the guide. And I've just marked up here the level that we'd enter on a breakout. So I've just, for the sake of example, decided to use a basic 50-day Bollinger breakout. So we'd be entering on the day here where the price breaks out of this channel to the downside, so we'll be selling on this day. So for a trend reversal system, what we'd be doing is we'd be waiting for the price to cross back across the moving average. So this is a 50 Bollinger Band. We're going to use the 50 moving average as a basis for closing the trade. And as you can see here, the trade runs for a pretty long time before it crosses back. So we're opening here in September 2014, and the price doesn't actually cross below back above the moving average until all the way down here. So this is the 24th of March 2015. We see the price comes close a couple of times. And it's very easy for people to kind of panic and they see their profits evaporating a little bit, and what they do is they close out prematurely and they miss most of this move. And this is why having an exit strategy is really important, and something like an MA cross really holds you in for the majority of the move. So I think this was actually a 17-to-1 risk reward based on initial risk. So you can just see kind of how powerful it is to close, wait for the trend to completely reverse and closing an MA cross for these kind of large sweeping trends. And it means that you're not going to hesitate in those consolidatory periods because you've got a strategy that you know you're going to follow. So you're not waiting and wondering whether you need to close the trade at a profit or waiting for the market to retrace, because you have a signal and it's a solid exit strategy that you know you need to follow, and it makes it a lot less psychologically demanding to watch a big move like this. The downside of these MA crosses is when it kind of gets to flatter markets, you give back a lot more profit than you would with some other strategies. So I'm just going to go across to a period down here, so you can see it's a lot messier. It kind of goes down on the left hand side. It's kind of stagnant for five months, and then it comes back up. And let's just use this example here. So if we open on the 4th of the 3rd 2016 again with a breakout on the 50-day, we actually see the market go up all the way to 0.78. So it moves up about let's say 300 or 400 pips there, or 3,000 or 4,000 pips, and then it actually comes all the way back. So it retraces all the way back down to just above where we opened. So that would go from maybe a obviously break even up to 200, 300, 400% profit, and then you see come back down to probably a scratch even, maybe get 50% on that one. So then the disadvantage of those trend reversals is that you do lose a big portion of the move, but you are waiting for those kind of really significant moves, and that kind of last retracement doesn't make as much of a difference, whereas these are kind of false breakouts, and they're not really huge significant trends, but you are going to kind of scratch even or maybe make frequent small wins and small losses in these periods here. The next strategy we're going to talk about is the time-based strategy. So this isn't one that immediately springs to mind to a lot of people. It's just a simple strategy of closing based on a number of days. So let's say you open again on this bar here. We'll use the same system just for the sake of comparison. What you do is you close after X number of days or X numbers of bars. What we found to be the best was around 15 to 20 days. And time-based strategies seem very random. But when you actually think about it, if you think about them, what the markets are made up of, they constitute people, they're made up of people and their emotions. And if you watched a market go for, let's say, 10, 15, 20 days consecutively without any retracement, people start taking profits very quickly. And that's why you get these consolidatory periods. So for this example here, let's say we were closing after 20 days, we'd open on the same day again, and we'd end up closing somewhere around here, somewhere in this little cluster here. So that's actually a pretty good risk to reward. And then we'd be out for this period, this kind of flat sideways period. We wouldn't be in a position, but then we'd be entering again. So whereas with the trend reversal we were in one position for the whole move, and with this one we're going to be in several positions. It's going to be closing out. The move is obviously longer than 20 days. It lasts about just under a year. So we're going to be in several positions over this. So we're in our second position here after closing the first one out about probably 300 or 400% profit on that one. And then again we hold for 20 days, and you need to make sure that the amount of time you hold it for is consistent for every trade. You don't want to be going 10 days one trade, 20 days another. Just make sure it's the same for all of them. So yeah, we'll be holding for 20 days, and again that's just this in this cluster here. So again, that's a really good profit you're going to make. Pretty good risk to reward on there. Probably again 4 or 5 to 1 on that one. And then again this period here, we missed this move here, this move down, because we're not in the trade, and we'd get a third trade in here, which probably closes a slight loss. Maybe we get stopped out in this big bar here, but considering we can have a time-based exit, we do very well in this period here, and that's kind of, we're not in again for a while. But the advantage of this is in kind of sideways consolidating markets, what we do is we give the market less time to turn back on us. So as we saw with we'll go back to the same example as before with this trade here. So with the trend reversal system, we're waiting for the price to cross all the way back across the moving average, and losing most of the move. With this here, what we're doing is we're closing after 20 days, which means the market actually, we close out somewhere up here. So we actually get a pretty good profit from that. So that's where the time-based exits work a lot better. In those consolidatory, those kind of volatile sideways periods, we're actually getting a pretty decent profit. Whereas if we're waiting for the market to go all the way back past the moving average, we might actually have a losing position instead of a winner. So it's a very good system, and obviously it works on all the time frames. So rather than having 20 days, you could do, if you're doing the 5 minutes, you'd do an hour and 40, so 20 bars. So we'll just pick a random example. I haven't actually looked at this. So there's a breakout here, and it's actually a pretty good one for the 20 days. So if we looked at 20 bars here, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So actually closing up here, which is pretty good risk reward actually. Whereas if we were waiting for it to cross an MA, we'd go all the way back, and it actually reverses down here, closes at a loss. So just goes to show that time-based strategies can be very effective, and they're a really good way to incorporate into your system. So it's very interesting technique of using it, and we use it ourselves in our system. So it just goes to show they can be very powerful. And the last one we're going to talk about is take profits. So we don't recommend you use take profits for trend-based systems, and we're just going to talk about why by using the same example again. So imagine you set a take profit at 2 or 3 to 1. What you're doing here is you're completely kind of destroying your risk to reward your system. So rather than letting the market run, you're trying to kind of guess how far it's going to go, and you're kind of trying to dictate the length of the move. And what's going to happen is that in these kind of big sweeping moves, you're going to get capped at 200-300% profit, and then there's going to be moves that maybe go to 100%, and you'd make a small profit on another system, but because you've got to take profit, and that's your exit strategy, it's going to kind of go near your take profit and then reverse back, and you're going to lose your whole position. So with trend following strategies, we just never recommend using a take profit. What we do is just set it as far away as possible, and hoping that we just make sure it never gets hit. But if you're going to be using the patterns, so the head and shoulders, double tops and bottoms, then you would set your take profit at maybe a 2 or 3 to 1. But we've got those explained separately in the individual guides. So if you are going to be trading the patterns, make sure you go and look at the individual guides for extra strategies. But if you're going to do trend follow, just don't consider a take profit at all. So yeah, so those are the 4 we've talked to. It was the stop loss, it was the MA cross, the time-based strategy, and then take profit. So that's everything for today. And have a look through those guides I've just talked about, and I'll see you next time.